12-3 work together, which is on page 363 in your textbook if you prefer to look at that. We have a payroll register and an earnings record that we are going to fill out for one particular employee. The payroll register is for all employees, of course. So let's read directions. A payroll register for Judy's Fashions is provided. Complete the payroll register for the semi-monthly pay period ended July 15, 2020. Use the federal income tax withholding tables in lesson 12-2 of your textbook. Again, those are on page 353 and 354. Use the tax rates of 6.2% for Social Security tax and 1.45% for Medicare tax. Round dollar amounts to the nearest cent, which is 2 decimal places. Neither employee has reached the tax base. That helps make it easy for us. And then it says to withhold $60 for health insurance and $15 for a Roth IRA for each employee. Read that carefully when you're doing problems, if it's each employee or one or the other. The voluntary deductions are not eligible to be deducted from total earnings to calculate payroll taxes. That just really means that it's not a tax advantage deduction, and we don't care for our purposes. So let's fill out the things that we know already so that we don't forget. So it said withhold 60 for health insurance. So in the column that says health insurance, I'm going to go ahead and put 60 in both of those columns. And then it said 15 for the Roth IRA. That is a retirement plan, so I'll put 15 for both of those. So I'll at least get those spots right, if nothing else. It's already computed total earnings. It has our allowances and marital status over here. These are the allowances 2 and 1, marital status, married and single. So we need to use a different table. So we're going to use the table on page 354 for Edward, since he is married. And he had total earnings of $1432.5. And I'm hoping by now you're good at using that table, so I'm not going to go look at that for you. But 2 allowances, married with earnings of $1432.5. And it's a semi-monthly pay, the 4 things we need to know. So if you do that correctly for him, you will see it's $61 of federal income tax. And then I'm going to do Janice, who is single, with 1 allowance, $971.75 of total earnings. Make sure you're taking total and not the regular or overtime when you do this. So take the total earnings of $971.75, and again, it's a semi-monthly pay period. So if you do that for federal income tax, you're going to get $76. And then I'm going to take total earnings. Again, regular overtime means nothing to us anymore. All we care about is in total. So take the total earnings for Edward times 0.062 here. Take the total for Janice, 971.75 times 0.062. Then take total earnings times 0.0145 and times 0.0145 for Janice. And that's what we'll get. So let me go ahead and put those amounts in. We've got 8882. 8882 for Edward and 60.25 for Janice. And then we got Medicare of 20.77 and 14.09 for Janice. 14.09. So you might want to make sure that if you recompute those, you would get the same numbers. Then we're going to go to total. So this is adding up total deductions. So we had the earnings part where we did a total. Now we're going to do deductions where we get a total. And if we total them for Edward, we would get 245.59. And for Janice, we would add federal income tax, Social Security, Medicare, health insurance, and retirement, and we would get 225.34. And then, once we have our total earnings and our total deductions, I subtract, so take total earnings minus total deductions to get net pay for each of them. And for Edward, it's going to be 1186.91. And for Janice, it's going to be 746.41. And the final thing that I want to do is I want to put in the semi-monthly pay period ended July 15th. Maybe July. Now I'm going to hit show so I see how you have to type it in. That's easy enough. I just was putting the day in the wrong box, and then put the date of payment as well, July 15th of 2000 whatever. So then the next page or the next tab just wants us to total it. So I'm going to go ahead with the show answer and let you copy that. So the total for regular earnings is $2,240.00. For overtime earnings, $164.25. Total earnings, $2,404.25. Federal income tax, $137. Social Security tax, $149.07. Medicare tax, $34.86. Health insurance, $120.00. Retirement plan, $30.00. Total, $470.93. And net pay, $1933.32. And a good thing to always do, again, once I've added all those columns going down, every single one of them, then I should just take my total earnings minus my total deductions and make sure that's what I get for my net pay. That's an easy way to catch myself if there was a problem. So the last tab we have, they give us that payroll register that we just finished with the totals. And it says to enter the July 15th payroll information on Mr. Johnson's quarterly earnings record from the payroll register. Mr. Johnson is employee number 2. Rate of pay is $15 per hour. Social Security number is blah. Position is a sales manager. Accumulated earnings at the end of the second quarter are $17,218. So let's fill in that information where we need to. So this is the earnings record for the quarter that ends September 30th. September 30, I did it again. And it's employee number 2, marital status for him, Edward, is M. It's up here in the payroll register. His withholding allowances are 2. His position, it said, is sales manager. They already put his social security number in, and his rate of pay, they told us, was $15 per hour. And then the last piece of information they gave us was his accumulated earnings were $17,218. So then what I want to do is I want to copy basically his entire payroll register line up here down into this accumulated earnings record for just this individual employee, Edward. So it's 1320. Overtime earnings 112.5. Let me re-enter that one. I'm not positive. 112.50. His total earnings were $1432.50. His federal income tax, $61. His social security tax, $88.82. His Medicare tax, $20.77. His health insurance, $60. His retirement, $15. His total deductions, $245.59. And his net pay, $1186.91. So that's doing the information that we know. The final thing we have to do is what is his accumulated earnings as of July 15th. So I take his previous accumulated earnings plus his total earnings. Don't take the net pay. It's earnings, 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 earnings. So take that previous amount of $17,218 and add to it the total earnings over here of $1432.50, and we would get $18,650.50. And that's all it takes to do an earnings record for an employee.